Welcome. Today's video, we're back to real life football. I'm going to be going over the weekend's Premier League games and I'll also be giving my predictions. Let's get right into it. With Swansea versus Everton in the early kickoff, I don't view this as a game of really much worth, honestly. Like, both teams don't have much to play for. You could say Everton have more to play for because they're a bigger club who had aspirations of being better than they were. I mean, they're pretty low table. Anyways, the starting of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we went with Southampton versus Hull, the first one we're going to talk about, at St Mary's. Southampton should beat Hull, but what I'll say is Southampton don't have as much to play for as Hull. Hull really are fucked, honestly. I view them getting relegated. Their running is so bad. Like, who was it? Like Norwich, like, weren't in the relegation zone until the very end because they had such a bad run-in. I just think that they could be in trouble. I really view that they get relegated. I don't view one of those bottom teams like Burnley or QPR. I think Leicester are going to go down. They're too far behind, but they've got a good run-in. It's all about the running. Now, moving on to Sunderland versus Crystal Palace. Now, I don't view this as a game that is very good, frankly. I think Crystal Palace will win. Now, you got to look at Sunderland are pushing to get out of the relegation. They're out of the relegation side. Great win last week in the Timeware derby, but Crystal Palace aren't playing for anything necessarily, but they're so, like, end of season team. Like, last year, they fucking smashed it, and they're doing it the same. They beat City on Monday night. And Sunderland, yeah, I don't know. They were up for the Newcastle game, but Newcastle are a team who aren't playing for anything, but seriously are just not playing. They're just not showing up. They got their flip-flops on already. So, I don't know about that game. Now, Spurs versus Villa at White Hart Lane. Another game with a relegation-threatened team. And Spurs, well, I don't know. I just don't know what will happen. Spurs are not going to get top 4. And frankly, getting 5th spot in the Europa League is frankly a curse. Now, I know you can get in the Champions League via the Europa League, but you have to play so many games and travel to all sorts of lands that maybe for a team like Spurs, who do have quality, it'd be better to get like 6th or 7th, not play in the Europa League, and actually have a real shot at getting top 4, which would also get you into the Champions League. Anyways, moving on to West Brom versus Leicester. Well, I'm actually thinking Leicester are going to get relegated. I just can't see them getting out of here. You know, they've had top form at the start of the season. They beat United, but I just can't see it. West Brom had a shocker last week against QPR. They got Tony Pulis at the helm. He's not going to have that again. I just can't see it. I just don't know what's going to happen. We'll see with the predictions later who I really think is going to win this, but don't really look like a quality game. Now, the last 3 o'clock kickoff, West Ham versus Stoke. Two teams that, frankly, are not playing for anything. Both have had very good seasons. Definitely West Ham. They were pushing top 4 at one point, you know. You knew that they would boil off at the end because they just don't have the depth. But two teams not playing for anything. Now, moving on to the 5:30 kickoff, Burnley versus Arsenal. Two teams who are really on top form. Burnley played Tottenham last weekend and drew 0-0. Burnley have been good and they're really fighting for their lives. But Arsenal, now, it's a long shot. I have to agree that they could win the league. But there is a lot of people thinking that, you know, if they were to sneak in, it would be a lot better than, you know, there's a lot of fans of teams that would, you know, kind of be okay with Arsenal winning the league because they're Arsenal, you know. They play great football, they got a lovely stadium, but they just don't win anything. And they're pushing on, but they're kind of doing what they do. They play really well and it don't really matter. I mean, Chelsea shouldn't let it slip. Now, if it wasn't such a big gap, I don't know. Maybe. They are firing on all cylinders. But I just can't see them winning the league. Now, moving on to the Sunday games. First game, 1:30 kickoff, QPR versus Chelsea, West London derby to an extent. Now we don't have Fulham. Now, both teams have a lot to play for. Chelsea have got Arsenal pecking at their heels, so they can't really be dropping points. QPR had a great game last weekend. Now, QPR, the thing about QPR is they have quality players. Like, the quality there, the experience is there. Like, I don't know. I view them staying up because of the quality they have. But I just don't know. I really don't know. The teams I reckon will get relegated, if we're going to divert for a minute, are Leicester, Hull and Burnley. I think QPR will get 17th. But, you know, you never know in this game. Like, it could be tight, who knows? You've had lots of incidents in these games before. You had the racism incident being the biggest one. So, actually, I don't know. We'll see with my predictions who I reckon will win. Now, we're going on to the big one. 4 o'clock at Old Trafford, the Manchester derby. Man United versus Man City. Wow, has times changed in Manchester. City looked like the team that, frankly, if there was a team below them who was actually playing well, like Tottenham or Southampton, getting wins, they might be looking, or Liverpool, might be looking at not getting top four. But luckily for them, every team below them is playing like shit. They lost 2-1 against Crystal Palace. What the hell? They've just dropped. They've basically kind of handed the title to Chelsea because their just form has been so bad. Like, it's just not happening. No, City are probably going to go through an overhaul at the end of the year. I view Pellegrini's going to be gone. There's going to be a lot of players leaving, and who knows what players they're going to bring in, because they don't have as much leeway to buy players anymore because of the financial fair play restrictions. So who knows? But Man United, biggest club in England, I mean, they're just playing so well. They bring in these players. They ain't playing that great. Rooney is finally playing up top. They're firing on all cylinders. But what I'll tell you, before I get into the predictions, City are up for a game like this. They may not be up for playing Crystal Palace away on a Monday night. But Old Trafford, atmosphere a go. City do have the quality to beat United. On paper, City are a better team, but form-wise, United are beating them. I don't know. You'll see in my predictions what I think the result will be. And the last game of the weekend is actually on Monday night. Liverpool versus Newcastle. Two teams who are just not on form right now. And two teams, frankly, Liverpool do have a bit to play for, I guess. I mean, they can't just give up on top four, but I think Brendan Rodgers has come out and said that they're not getting top four, so who knows. And Newcastle, I don't know what to say about Newcastle. They're safe, but they're just not having it. They're just sucking. They're a joke. They really are. For a club that big, with that stadium, with that fan base, they should not be as bad as they are. Anyways, now let's move on to the predictions. Okay, moving on to the predictions, I'm going for a 2-1 Everton win. Another away from home, and it's hard to go out to Wales and get a win, but I think Everton, now that they're not playing in the Europa League, are going to kick on and get some wins and move up the table and finish in a respectable position. Now, moving on to the first 3 o'clock kickoff, Southampton versus Hull. I'm going for a Southampton win here, 3-1 or something like that. Hull just are going to get relegated. They're just not on it. They're not on form. I feel sorry for them. But, 3 teams got to get relegated, and I believe Hull one of them. Now, moving on to Sunderland versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have been a revelation again. They start badly, they change manager, and then they kick on and have amazing performances. I mean, last season, everyone knows last season's story, but this season, Alan Pardew, who's getting absolutely harassed up at Newcastle, comes back to his own, Crystal Palace, and all my days, they could finish in the top 10. Crystal Palace are starting to do a Stoke. They're establishing themselves in the Premier League, even changing managers, which doesn't always work. And Sunderland, I believe they'll stay up, so I am going for a 1-1 draw here. Sunderland aren't out of it yet, but I think they will. Now, Spurs versus Villa. Now, Villa are an interesting one because they're kind of a big club, but I'm going for a 3-1 Spurs win. Moving on to West Brom versus Leicester, I am going for a 1-0 West Brom win. West Brom got absolutely battered when they played QPR. 4-1 against a Tony Pulis team at home. QPR, they don't win away from home. They don't win that much at home. But still, that was shocking. West Ham versus Stoke. I am going for a West Ham draw, 2-2, high scoring. Both teams don't have much to play for. Both teams have had very good seasons. Should be an entertaining game. Or it's going to be a drabber. Who knows? Now, Burnley versus Arsenal, the 5:30 kickoff. I'm going with a 3-1 Arsenal win. They're going to keep the pressure up on Chelsea. And who knows what's going to happen Sunday? Who knows? Could Arsenal get back in it? What would be the odds on Arsenal winning the Premier League at the start? They kind of come out of nowhere. People were saying, sack Wenger, get him out of here, we're crap. No, not finishing in the top 4. And now, they're going to finish top 2. What is this? When was Arsenal finishing top 2? Now, moving on to the Sunday games. QPR versus Chelsea. I've got to say it. Chelsea are going to drop points here. I am going for a 1-1-er. I think QPR are going to stay in the Premier League, and that will be it. And Chelsea are going to drop points. Chelsea will drop points. I still think they're going to win the league, but they will drop points, and I believe it starts today. And I think this might be the only time they drop points, and they can afford to do that. Now, moving on to the game of the weekend, the Manchester derby. What's the result going to be? It's going to be 2-1. Yes, sir. Oh my days, what a shocker. Man, well, not really a shocker in like current form. I will say though, I reckon City will score first. Yeah, get in. But Man United will win this one. Now moving on to Liverpool versus Newcastle, I'm going for a 2-0 Liverpool win. Newcastle, they're shit. They got their flip-flops on already. Anyways, those are the end of the predictions. What are your predictions? Drop a comment. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Tweet me, AN92. And as always, drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.